So we've heard Kirit Bhai talking about the principles, some of the theories, the challenges that are being faced for change management, but theory is good for theory. And like what we've promised that for 25 years at least, KCF has been doing a great job of bringing knowledge to the people. A lot of people have acknowledged that they have gained a lot, the businesses have gained a lot from things that have been shared by the speakers at KCF. But now is the time to really take it the next step forward, right? And really bring theory and practice together and share those experiences. So we have people here, these are stalwarts of the industries. They don't need an introduction, but it's customary. So I'll start with Mr. Ashok Shah. He's been a visionary, along with his brothers, taken VTrans, earlier known as Vijay Transport, to new heights. Been very active on the social front, along with Jito and a number of other things that he's been doing there. Age is no bar, and when we talk about mindset, he's been extremely active in investing in startups and understands that ecosystem very well. So I think it's a good reminder for us that, as long as you keep your eyes and ears open, then you can really respond to the changing dynamic that we have around us. Mr. Sunil Gala, Managing Director of Navneet Education, philanthropist and somebody who's taken Navneet to the next level. At the same time, he's been very, very focused on how to keep the family together, running a family organization that's been in Bombay and in Ahmedabad, different businesses that they've got exposure to, and has constantly looked at the market and responded with what's required. Also been very active on the financial sector now with his involvement at Blackstone. We'll talk about that during the conversation. So thank you very much, Sunil Bhai. Parag Chheda, Joint Managing Director at Prince Pipes and Fittings. Over 27 years, he's taken Prince to another level with the IPO, and it's sort of a pan-India large organization now. So, and something that Parag's taught me all the time is how do you respect your time and somebody else's time. So he's been a great executor of business and business plans and making sure that things happen on time. Milan Bhai has been very close to the Gala Bansali family. He's been a great friend of Philip Bhai and Mukesh Bhai. He started Mile Software. As a commerce graduate, he understood that technology is something that is really going to drive things forward, brought technology and finance together, was able to see in the late 90s that wealth management as an industry would grow and would need support of some technologies. So he built Mile Software. Within Mile Software, he took in external capital, managed to grow it to a point and even get an exit from there. So we'll talk about some of those experiences. And now he's back to doing what he loves to do, back to starting up and contributing more to the startup ecosystem. So he's now running 2 companies, Finalica and one Silver Bullet. We'll talk about that in the process. And Renil Gogri, Director at Aarti Industries, he has been very instrumental in disrupting Aarti from inside out. A lot of people here might be shareholders, so we don't want any shareholder type of questions. But let's try and understand that why has it been a great journey to be a shareholder of Aarti Industries, and what is it that was done differently, and take it from there. So that's Renil Gogri. So with that, we'll start off, I think, let's start off from you, Renil. I expect some livening up things here. Now, you came into the company as a young person without experience, right, in theory. And you have, when did you realize that your industry or your company needed to change? And how did you go about doing that? I mean, any points that you want to talk from there?
Yeah, so great question. So I graduated in 2008, and first 5 months I was like, let me take an experience outside. So I went to Deutsche Bank for investment banking experience. And I said, like, chuck this, I want to travel the world, do some paragliding, skydiving, did all that. Then dad said, now enough, come back to business. So I'm like, okay, fine. And then I also got engaged at that same time. So it was a really big change for me at that point of time. Took couple of years to understand the business. Somewhere down the line, what I realized is that the company where we were extremely strong foundations, but the growth that we wanted, that required some fundamental changes in the way we manage things. So that I think 2-3 years down the line in 2012-13, I sort of personally also realized that Aarti, where the scale it operates, our business processes, our systems, our management structure now needs an alteration. So I really acknowledge the work that was done by the first generation in terms of building the company here. That was a complete entrepreneurial journey, and what they did is completely fantastic. But then it sort of needed a very different way of looking at things and building things from there, if we wanted to take the company to the next level. So for me, it was like 2012-13 where sort of I realized that it sort of needed a change in terms of the way we do things, how we do things as such, without leaving the ethos of what we are in terms of the values that I think my uncle and my father and all the other founders sort of brought forward. So that is what was the start of it. And I think from there, sort of we had like, retrospectively looking, I see there are two transformational cycles that we had. One was from 2013 to 2017, where we achieved some things. And then 2018 to 2021, which was a second transformation cycle, which was a little different, more structured. And right now we are in a phase of a third transformation cycle from 22 to 26, which is going to be another cycle itself. So the realization was in 2012, 2013, where the understanding that if we have to grow further, we need to do things differently. But what needed to be done differently at that point was sort of very differently understood. It was like, thoda chalo, let us get some more people, let us focus on safety, let us do something on environment, let us focus a little bit on HR. So it was not a structured change management, whereas 2018 to 21 was very structured, and what we are going to embark now will be much more organized and structured.
Excellent. So change management as a practice. So you can experience change management and do change management. I don't know, Philip, Kirit bhai, can this experience help or not help? We'll find out. Milan bhai has done this. So Milan bhai, I actually want to understand from you, how you understand change management. You've taken a company that was built by you, got external capital in, and then you finally took a very cold, emotionless probably decision to say that what is the right thing for you to do for the company and yourself and give it to somebody else. So can you talk about that experience?
Yeah. So I built the company grounds up. It was an amazing experience. Expanded to 30 countries. Had all tier 1 customers globally using my platform. Who's who in the world was using it. Obviously, I thought I had built a Rajdhani train, which was running at 100 kilometers or 130 kilometers speed. Eventually, my dream was to get and build a bullet train. So to do that, I had no choice but to get off the Rajdhani train, get onto a platform, and then get into a bullet train. So I went into that phase. I thought that is the thing, that was the exact thought I was running in my mind when I took a decision to sell my company, because I thought I could not change or I could not do what I wanted to do. So for that matter, I thought is the best thing is to, and my dreams were much larger. So I thought is I must get off this train to get into a bullet train, because I can't run into both the trains simultaneously. Because if I was trying to transform a Rajdhani train to a bullet train, it would take me long time, or sometimes it's not possible only. So to me, it was a very simple decision, because you're in a business of doing a business. So I don't think, and a lot of people were saying emotional, it is your own baby. I was saying it's not my baby. Sorry guys, this is not my baby. I was doing this business for my livelihood and my aspirations. And if I think my aspirations can be met by doing something better, then I must do that. And so till even a lot of people like you still ask me, it was your baby. And I thought, no, it's not. And I trust me, the one which I'm doing right now, if I think it can be I mean, obviously, the dream is to take it to an IPO. Uh, and we're building it very, very strongly and definitely taking care of the first. So I've created 13 so-called my commandments. And my first commandment is when you can make newer mistakes, why repeat old ones? So I'm here to make newer mistakes, leaving behind my old mistakes, which I'd read at my chartered accountant's office some 25 years back. And that struck into my head. That's my first commandment, saying, I'm going to make newer mistakes by setting up this new firm, new startup. I will leave behind my old mistakes. So that's the purpose, yeah.
Well, that's inspirational. So, and you've got the name Bullet in your new company, right? One Silver Bullet is what it's called. So you're very focused on leaving the Rajdhani behind and getting onto the bullet train.
Yeah, that's right. I hope, I wish.
Awesome. All the best for that.
Thank you.
Parag bhai, so a lot of questions to actually ask you, but some sensitive one. You were very classically straddling this transition. The old generation, you are there, you've taken this business forward. Prince was obviously a larger family-run organization, and there was some reorganization within the larger family group. You built it with your brother, and your son is now in there. And somehow, at least for people who are watching financial news television, then they seem to see that your son more often, and you are seen at the KCF events. So, so can you talk about that as an experience in managing generational thought processes and change within that and growing at this size and scale?
Yeah, sure, Rohan. I think this 27 years of journey has been very, very exciting with a lot of learnings, maybe a lot of sweet instances, and many of them also some sour experiences. I think I was just lucky because my father, was very, very open-minded. He was very open for, whenever I used to seek for some change, I think he was absolutely open. I think I'm very, very lucky. I've seen a lot of business houses in the Kutchi community, and there is a kind of reluctance when a son enters in the business. In the transition time, I think the senior generation, finds it little difficult to, open up their fist and saying that, I'm ready for some kind of a change. So I was just, I think, very lucky to have a father who was kind of very open-ended. A lot of changes have been brought in from that time. So when I joined the business, maybe in the year of 1994, of course, at that time we were, group of companies. So the PVC division, I think we were just about, if I recall, we were just doing a single digit. The figures are about 8 crores, and if I specify my PVC division, when I joined, it was 8 crore 33 lakhs. So from 8 crore 33 lakhs to today where we are is, more than 2,800 crores. I think, thank you guys. So this journey definitely has been exciting. We share, between me and my brother, we share a very, very cordial relation. We decided there was a very good demarcation of roles and responsibilities, and we tried to respect the LOCs. As a promoter, I think it's very easy to enter into all the domains. But then there is some ego challenge. There are at times when, people are kind of receptive. And this, I'm being very open. There could be some kind of a resistance within the family as well, and not just the professional team. But I think you just have to deal with it properly. You have to be calm, you have to be patient, you have to be very open, you have to be flexible. And then I think something as recent, I think the third generation, my son Nihar has, joined the business. Uh, he's graduated from Purdue University, did his industrial engineering and technology. And now I think I'm seeing the change of what my father has undergone the change of, many kind of disruptions that he wants to bring in. And the initial period, we say, Nihar, tu nando hi hai, just take a chill pill. Normally, that's the line which he actually tells me. But you realize, right? Because I had my father who was very, very open-minded. So I think this kind of family value, I think it continued. And yes, I think we rock as a family, the 3 generations together. Yeah.
Thank you for that openness. So, Nilakal, you have a prolific experience of managing a large family. And what I think is important for us to understand perhaps is how you responded to the environment within the company and change from the point of view that different people probably had different strengths. And how did the organization change for adapting those strengths? And how did the individuals change for those strengths? And you managed to then sort of diversify into other businesses also. So how do you keep your mind open to seeing that, then finding somebody from the family? And I think that entire picture is, I think, very fascinating. So, you've been in Ahmedabad with the Gala Infra and with Black Soil, which is the financing arm that you've done along with other partners there. So, just feel free to share what you think as the important takeaways that you've had.
Sure, Rohan. So first I would like to say, when I joined business, I really learned a lot from my elders. But in the process, I realized and I decided to change myself. A common perception of all of us could be MBA, we are MBAs. મને બધું આવડે છે. I decided that if I really need to grow my company, I need right people who are more learned, more experienced, maybe more educated than what we are. And therefore, since then, I think the journey began of appointing right teams at the places, and then we went on learning more and more. The change point of view, first change, I believe, which was reasonably a big change for the family, was to take the company public. We were so much scattered across. I'm telling this, keeping all of you in mind that still the style of functioning the business is, one is operation and the structure. Structure is so important and relevant for all of us to grow, because if we go on splitting the businesses in several entities, then that's not the right way to grow. So we went public, consolidated all our businesses into one, and then we took that ahead. And today we are enjoying the benefit of that. Now, Rohan, to tell you your question on diversification, be it in real estate, be it in finance, be it in school management, same theory. If we know something, improve your strength with right people, or identify the right people to run that activity. And I believe a couple of places, we have gone fail also, but majorly I believe if we have right teams to do activities with a vision, then I'm sure one can always succeed in their decisions.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Ashok bhai, you've been an industry stalwart, and what are the changes that you've seen in the industry? So, I think organization is one thing, but at the industry level, you've been very involved also. And what are the changes that you've seen in the industry that then you saw that either you pioneered that, or you responded to that, or you brought change about in the industry, and how did you go about doing that?
हमारी जो इंडस्ट्री है 100% अनऑर्गेनाइज थी पहले, और फॉर्चुनेटली हमारे एल्डर जनरेशन, मेरे फादर, ही वॉज विजनरी एंड इनोवेटिव। तो काफ़ी बदलाव जो है हमने अपनी इंडस्ट्री में लाए। आपको बताते हुए मुझे खुशी होती है, जब भी मेरी शादी हुई ना, तो मेरे ससुरे को कम से कम 15 लोगों ने पूछा होगा, ट्रांसपोर्ट वाले को यहाँ आपकी लड़की दे रहे हो? कोई लड़की नहीं दे रहा था। ये पूरा श्रेय जाता है मेरे फादर को परसेप्शन चेंज करने में। और मैं फॉर्चुनेटली 1964 एट द एज ऑफ 14 इनडायरेक्टली इन्वॉल्व था, और 67 से मतलब आज 55 इयर्स कंटिन्यू हो गए मेरे को। तो काफ़ी बदलाव आए। लेकिन एक क्वेश्चन था, जब भी स्कूल में पढ़ता था तभी काफ़ी चीज़ें ऐसी थी कि हर एक चीज़ का मेरा क्वेश्चन आता था, वाई वाई वाई, क्यों। और हर एक क्यों का जवाब मैंने अपने तरीके से ढूंढ रखा था। 67 टू 77 10 साल की जर्नी जो रही, A to Z सब सीख लिया। और स्ट्रक्चरिंग जो था उसमें धीरे 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 बदलाव किया। बदलाव में सबसे मुझे ज़्यादा हेल्प मेरे फादर की और अंकल की। मेरे फादर ने, मैं 67 में आया, उन्होंने रिटायरमेंट ले ली एट द एज ऑफ 43। मैंने पूछा, आप क्यों रिटायर हो रहे हैं 43 में? हाणे आके करे जो है मेरे असा रोल असी करे कि हाँ 9 वारे जो आवो तेनी कम चालू कयो, मूंखे घणे वारे थे विया। एंड एक्टिवली सोशल एक्टिविटी में थे। 77 मुझे चार्ज दिया गया एट द एज ऑफ 27। उस टाइम कंपनी की 12 ऑफिस थी, 14 ट्रक थी, जिस पूरी फाइनेंस की हुई। सिंगल रुपीस की समझो ना, एक ओनरशिप प्रॉपर्टी नहीं थी। और कुछ 20 लाख प्लस का बार का बोझा था। पहले 3 साल फोकस अप्रोच किया कि पहले 3 साल मैंने फोकस किया कि बार का जो आउटस्टैंडिंग है उसको कैसे बाहर निकालें। वो किया। 81 में जब निकल गया तब पहली प्रॉपर्टी ली। दूसरा बदलाव ये है कि हम तो कमाएंगे ही, हमारे जो वेंडर थे उसका ग्रोथ करना चाहिए। तो 12 ट्रक्स जो थी हमारी खुद की, उसके अलावा 10-12 अटैच ट्रक थी। 77-78 2 साल के दौरान ये जो छोटे छोटे आदमी थे उनको ओनर बनाया। ड्राइवर्स थे, 10,000 है न तेरे पास, चल एक गाड़ी ले ले, उधारी पे दिया, रिस्क लिया था। तो वैसे 2 साल में मैंने 78 मोर ट्रक्स वेंडर ऐसे चुने कि जो ओनर थे, और उनको कैसे कमाएंगे वो देखा। पहले वेंडर को कमाने दिया। 81 में पहली प्रॉपर्टी लेने की शुरुआत की। 85 में कंप्यूटराइजेशन अभी इनिशियल स्टेज में था, तो कंप्यूटर इंडस्ट्री में फर्स्ट हमने लिया। ऑनलाइन बुकिंग।
आपने एक बार मुझे बताया था कि कंप्यूटर में आपने कोडिंग करने शुरू कर लिए थे, या एटलीस्ट कोडर के साथ बैठ के आप काम करते थे?
नहीं, वो लेटर स्टेज में आया। तो 90 से हमने हमारी जीसी रसीद नंबर ई लैंग्वेज कुछ बता रहे थे, उसमें बनानी स्टार्ट की थी।
सो एक क्वेश्चन जो अशोक भाई आता है,
और 2004 में इंटरनेट का आगमन हुआ 98-99 के दौरान हमारी मतलब देश में। और उसमें एक सेमिनार, मुझे एक एडवांटेज क्या है मालूम है, जैसे किरीट भाई ने बताया, मैं अपने आप को अनपढ़ समझता था, तो कुछ नया सीखने, रोज़ नया सीखने जाता था। तो एक सेमिनार में गया था, वहाँ इंटरनेट के बारे में, इंटरनेट की अहमियत के बारे में, फ्यूचर के बारे में बताया गया। तो मुझे ये दिमाग में बैठ गई, मैंने आके बात किया तो बोला पागल हो, पागल हो, ऐसे हो ही नहीं सकता। ठीक है, तो ऑफलाइन उस टाइम वीबी में हमने एक प्रोग्राम बनाया और वो उसका एवरी डे अपलोड हम लोग ऊपर करते थे और लाइव रिपोर्ट दूसरे दिन सबको देखने मिला था, सबको मज़ा आई। तब से दिमाग में था और एक स्क्रिप्ट लिखना चालू की थी। 2004 में एक वेंडर मिला, उसको बोला मेरा ये विज़न है, तू पूरा कर सकेगा? बोला हाँ करेंगे, लेकिन कॉस्ट इतना लगेगा, कॉस्ट वगैरह की बात की। मैं बोला ठीक है।
अशोक भाई, एक पॉइंट इसमें जो आ रहा है कि यू मैनेज टू चेंज योर सेल्फ विद द टाइम, and that's one of the questions that I had
time.
before time also. So Kirit bhai, I think I have a question for you, that what is it that you change in yourself when trying to adopt change management within your organization? And I think I want to talk to everybody about this, because as time passes we all change. So what did you change in the organization and what did you change about yourself? Because I think Ashok bhai अनपढ़ बोल के भी बहुत पढ़े लिखे हो गए, because he's sort of exposed himself to everything. So what did you change and how do you look at that?
Changing yourself, actually I did not go through any change process for myself. In fact, what happened was, we were not a classic family run business. And I always believed in strong individual freedom kind of, ambience. And of course, my dad really supported. But in general, a lot of changes were made in organization with my conviction to grow, with my conviction to have, life, quality of life much better than what I had at that time.
So that's actually that's the point.
नहीं, 2004 में टेलर मेड हमने बनाया और उस टाइम हमारी ऑफिस थी कुछ 122, जो हमें 800 ब्रांच तक पहुंचाया। अभी 800 ब्रांच अक्रॉस द कंट्री पहुंचने में मदद की है। तो ईआरपी, और वी वर द फर्स्ट इन ईआरपी इन ट्रांसपोर्ट इंडस्ट्री, ऑनलाइन ईआरपी। एक चेंज और भी।
I have a similar question. Sorry to interrupt, but Sunil bhai, EdTech is disrupting the education business so much. How are you really coping up with that? And how is 15 family members को पूरा समझाना कि ये disruption हो रहा है and we need to change, and then organization को communicate करना? How are you doing that?
Very challenging question, challenging answers. Like Ashok bhai said, we visualized the importance of digital education way back in 2001. Invested couple of crore rupees. Some people say lost, some people say invested. We closed the business. Again, we came back in 2010 because customers started demanding it. But actually, there was no usage. Somehow, none of the successful names that we are here, sorry, the word successful is not the right word right now. For whether they will be successful or not, time will say. But so-called names that we are hearing, none of them are from education industry. All funded well, and therefore they are trying to show that they are growing. They may be growing and they will be successful. So to answer your question, how did we cope that? Yes, we still continue to burn money in EdTech. How did I convince, or how did we convince the other family members? I think in a business, we have to command some position, every one of us, if it is a joint family. And therefore, people should believe in you, whether whatever that someone does will happen or not, or successfully. And even if not successfully, fortunately, for example, here me, I have other successful examples in the family, businesses for the family. And therefore, if I don't succeed in one, with that view, I said that we cannot ignore this. But we clearly foresee that EdTech is a very, very broad word, but digital education in the school environment, in the classroom environment, is going to grow very big. And for that, what did we change? Conventional styles required for the present businesses, thinking, senior employees, for them to, when we talk to them about EdTech, सब कोई इधर से जाता है, कुछ पता ही नहीं चलता है. And therefore, of late we have decided, first of all, shift the whole office altogether from the present location.
You set up a new office.
We have an independent office, different HR policies, and that way, one way, convinced to the family that we have to try for the existence of the company, and we cannot ignore this, and to make that successful, whatever is required. So we shifted new HR policies, very, very, I would say.
So when you visit there, you see people in shorts and t-shirts and.
Fortunately
you are
in
also okay
Mumbai, we don't see, fortunately because with my age I am saying fortunately, that we don't see them in Mumbai. But yes, day before yesterday I received a request that can we do a pajama dressing for a day. So
Bhai, I think Renal is going to come in. I know
Renal,
this is the point that he's going to raise right now. So Renal, why don't you talk
Renal,
about the change
I have
that
a simple question. Do you wear shorts in the office or not yet?
So
Do you
my
go to the office?
So last 2 years, the office has been the home office. So yes.
No, but he's talking about different HR policies. So I think you have a question and something that you've adopted at...
No, we were just discussing yesterday also. We are sort of moving to a 5-day work week, which is very, very unique in manufacturing organizations. So that's sort of the context. Like, so did you approve the policy or not?
as I said in the beginning, I have the right people or right teams, very, very senior people, and I blindly go and give them the decision.
So I think delegation ka importance is remarkable. I think Renal, you came in as a youngster and you built a team. You want to talk about how do you manage that?
Yeah, so I think we always talk about, I think what I have realized is the first generation entrepreneurs are extremely hands-on. That is essentially...
And they need to be.
They need to be, they have to understand everything, meet the customer, run everything by themselves. So what my understanding is that really is important when you're growing the business at the start, when you're entrepreneurial phase of the organization. But then that same thing becomes a problem because then you don't have people developed below you. In general, that is the standard thing that happens. That's what my experience is. So when I come in, I have a completely different mantra that I should not be relevant in the organization. That is my success. So everything that needs to be done should be done by professionals completely, and I need not be part of it at all. So it's a complete shift in terms of how to run the organization. So earlier when it is completely driven by my uncle and my dad, they are experts. Like CVG, if you know, he's not only a chemical engineer, he is a mechanical engineer, a civil engineer, HR head, everything put together. And my dad also legal, sales, everything. They can do everything. But at a certain point, that is not going to help the organization. So that pivot needs to happen. When that pivot needs to happen, we need to have specific horses for courses. I need to have a HR head who is really good in HR, manufacturing guy, project people, safety people who are very, very good in their role. But at the same time, what I felt and what probably we have been able to do is really empower them so that they have the space. So then hold them accountable for the responsibilities that we are giving them. At the same time, give them the space to operate. So that is one of the last 10 years. That is, if you look at the only thing that I have done is get senior people, give them clarity of work and freedom to operate, and then give them space to this thing and make sure that they take up more responsibilities. That's how you can grow. So that's
So, Renil, what is your big vision? You know, how did you convince the others that what are you going to achieve with all this professionalizing?
yeah. So I think you mentioned two things here, like conviction and communication. I would add the third C is courage.
Yes.
Like especially your second generation guys, we have to have courage to speak up.
Perfect.
Because there will be resistance. And it's pretty natural. So it's like all kinds of different things Shyam Dam done, but I also had to use in order to get things done. Basically in terms of convincing, in terms of seeing what threats the organization has, opportunity organization has, and the requirement. And it is never going to be smooth sailing. It's always going to be turbulent in itself, change. But at the same time, once it happens, after a while, then everyone sort of comes in like, this is the right thing to sort of to be done. So in my personal experience, it has always been, it requires courage, which is my sort of 2 cents, is that you have to sort of stand for your convictions. So you need a conviction, but you need to stand for it and make sure that you create like, no, this is needed.
So, Parag, the new generation comes with a new vision, or it is following the same vision? You know, how is it in the family-run organizations?
So I think it's an important question. The third generation has not changed the vision. The vision has been defined jointly by the family. I remember, you know, I just mentioned that we were a single-digit number. And it took us many years to touch 100 crores. Maybe more than, I think, 10 to 12 years. And from there on, it became easy. But during 100 crores, I think the father, on the day of the celebration, you know, he said that my 2 sons, Parag and Vipul, who are running the PVC show, the PVC piping show, so PVC will be redefined as Parag and Vipul Chheda. So this vision, and at that time, I think I got a little bit hurt because I wanted my father to, you know, first appreciate and acknowledge that, Dad, I've got this business from, you know, single digit to 100, and you're not allowing me to celebrate that journey, and you've already thrown a new target for me, a new vision for me. But then after some time you realize that's how, you know, you will grow up your business from, you know, wherever we are to a 10x business. So I think the vision is still laid, you know, jointly by the family, but the final decision is still taken by my father.
So you do 10x twice and that's 100x. So you just have to do this journey twice and then you're already at 3 times of that after that. Milan, one point that Renil mentioned about courage, something that we had discussed, and I think that's probably relevant here. So communication, conviction, and then courage, and then the people that he built, that Renil's built in his team. You had mentioned something about how when you have people and you find that the people are not right, and what courage and conviction and communication should you bring? What are the steps and missteps that you've had as an experience?
I have several experiences running a technology company. It's extremely people driven, and you create a lot of dependencies. So one thing which I learned is you should be able to not get emotional. I did get emotional in my first venture, I must admit. And that is the reason I could not do what ideally I could have potentially done. Okay, I could have grown it much larger. But I did take emotional decision saying, ये 20 साल से है, तो उसको ये position दो. I should have given money, but not the position. Okay, so that is the big learning which I had, saying by vintage, never assign somebody a designation. Okay, which was a very big learning. So in my new startup, obviously we are very young people. I'm the eldest, 51. I'll turn 52. So obviously we don't wear shorts, but we allow people to wear shorts. One thing also, I just want to just make a point here. We allow people to take their own decisions. Okay, whether they want to work from home, office, let them decide. Okay, and so coming to your question about people, if you think you've made a wrong decision. Let's say in my new venture, I'd hired a CEO. I thought he was moonlighting with me. To me, moonlighting is a very, very serious issue.
Moonlighting
And
would mean that he was doing another job also at the same time.
he was, that is on my knowledge, but he would continue unless and until I reached a particular level, so which was not acceptable to me. So, a very senior gentleman, extremely senior, and I kind of I'd offered him $500,000 of salary, a fairly large amount of stake in my company, and so I said, this cannot work, okay? So I was okay to fire him. Overnight decision taken, saying, sorry guys, this can't work. And I've taken several such decisions in my new venture. I'd taken in my, to be very honest, the company which I sold 2 years, we had a remarkable change by only seeing is if we had wrong people, we were willing to let them go. Or rather, we took some very, very difficult decisions. We grew our business by firing more people, to be very honest. Okay, so I grew my business 300% by reducing 30% of my people. Okay, and compensating that 30% saving salary what we were saving, we gave it to the rest of the guys. So we overcompensated the people who remained in the organization, but we took some overnight decisions like, let's say for example, I remember in my earlier organization, we took a surprise IQ test, although that's not relevant, but we did because in technology you need problem solving skills. One afternoon we took saying we're going to take an IQ test. People below that test all are gone.
Wow.
Okay, and we let and there could be people who were dependent, people who were been there from in your organization for so long. We let all of them go. We didn't get any replacement to those guys, and we grew 100% every year for 3 years in sequentially. Okay, so we reduced our staff strength by 20%, or that is 30%, compensated that 30% salary to the existing 70% people. That means we compensated them, but we let those 30% go because we thought by having wrong people in your organization, the energy of good people is actually going to clean the shit created by these bad people. Okay, so you have to take those decisions, and I'm okay to take those decisions now. So that's the biggest learning which I had. Yeah.
I have a question then for Sunil bhai. Sunil bhai, you mentioned that EdTech companies were not in education. What we have seen across the globe, Airbnb was not a hotel company, but it is valued more than Hilton. Uber was not a taxi company, doesn't own a single taxi and so on. So you are still, don't you think you are carrying a baggage of old organization and trying to get into much newer organization? A and B, do you consider firing then?
Firing whom?
Firing people who are, like he does. How do you address the
My
performance?
firing was different. My firing was for competency, not for other things. Just to give you an idea. Sorry, I just want to correct there. Because of pure incompetency, so people were incompetent and we let them go.
No, I'm
Okay.
sorry to
Yeah,
use
so
that
just
word,
to-
but then
yeah, just to clarify that,
even as you know, you keep on hiring new professionals, and one day some senior person will tell me, "ये 5 लोग मुझे नहीं चाहिए, I can't work with them." How will you deal with them, or how did you deal with these situations?
So manufacturing is different. Like it is not this thing. We can always bench people. We can take care of them in different ways. So in general, it's like a Reliance never fires. They have used people in the bench. So manufacturing, there are jobs which can be assigned to people with little less competence, etc. What we do sort of now very nicely is that we have a very strong assessment in terms of, so you take the IQ test after people have joined. The idea is to take it before they join itself. But that is what you learn later on.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that you will.
So, and generally, like there is, in manufacturing, luckily there is a 10-15% natural attrition. So people who you don't want in general will know that and they will move out. But that's like a 3-4-5%. We don't have such large concerns, but yeah. But again, the important thing is the senior team that we have hired. We have hired a lot of people recently. So we do a complete assessment. We have a Corn Ferry assessment. We spend a huge amount of money on the assessment. huge panel to do the, for 4 people, 6 people doing the interviewing process, checking everything so that we don't end up with a misfit, because that can be a big problem. It takes 3 months, 6 months to hire, the individual starts performing after 1 year, and then you realize, no, we have got the wrong guy, we are 2 years, the entire thing sort of then gets pushed out.
My experience has been 1 out of 3 is good hire. Eventually you realize after 2 to 3 years. But that's the...
I mean, we have been pretty lucky in that sense, but we have spent...
No, but you have a
invested-
better assessment system you have to have.
Sunil bhai, you were saying something.
No, Kirit bhai did ask me that how are we coping it up in EdTech. Therefore, I said in my opening remark that we are really in a confused state. During pandemic, so much of EdTech was being talked, and they were really growing very rapidly. We were not even billing 1 crore of rupees a day then. Now the confusion is we went ahead in EdTech, invested, have lots of people. Post-pandemic, schools opened. Again, our core business is flourishing like anything. Then where do we concentrate? Where do we focus? So we can't touch our original business, let it run, it runs, and we are focusing separately altogether.
I think this is classic change management and VUCA. This is the volatility and uncertainty and complexity and ambiguity.
So you have good from both the world now. You have a traditional business which is flourishing, and you have learned EdTech well now.
I think we are at little advantage because we have two complementing business.
Yeah.
So that way we'll be at a better situation.
Nice.
I think.
Just a question. Like EdTech will be like a startup for you. Like it will be a very different thing than running traditional businesses.
Yeah, it is a startup. But now startup means on that little difference between actual the startups and us. Now we are perceived that we have healthy balance sheet, so we can always go on investing money as much as we want, whereas startups strive for money outside. So, and at our level now we have to think to really get into the business at a much bigger level. We have to take lots of big decisions now and big investments with clear defined 3-year losses that we are foreseeing. But we have to get in that way.
5 years, maybe 7 years. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just, because startups are prone to that. So, yeah.
उतने में shareholders माफ नहीं करेंगे फिर ऐसे वही.
ऐसा नहीं है. Actually, shareholders को loss पसंद है boss. आप valuation देखो ना यार. So, I don't think so there is any correlation between valuation and profits. I mean, today, sorry for saying that.
No, it is always future profit, hopefully.
Yeah.
No, but I think
આજે છે ને સૌથી પહેલો ક્વેશ્ચન જ્યારે સ્ટાર્ટઅપ આવે છે ને પૂછે છે બર્ન શું છે તમારું?
How much did you?
હાઉ મચ બર્ન એટ અપ ટુ વોટ ટાઈમ? એ ક્વેશ્ચન હોય છે અને એના આધારે વેલ્યુએશન થાય છે.
એટલે હવે મારો એવું છે કે startups, normal business sell products. Startups have to sell dream. Then raise capital and then sell product. वो बाद में पहले.
Sunil bhai, you are looking at this from both sides. So you're a public listed company, you're answerable to public shareholders who look at things very differently. We've seen some of these startups get listed and we've seen what's happened post-listing for some of these startups. So I think, Milan bhai, the private capital probably world looks differently. And, you also have your experience at Black Soil where you all have been supporting these startups, interacting with these startups, providing the venture debt, seeing them burn capital and still give them vyaju ke paisa, right? I mean, which is a very different way of looking at things. So, any things that you are picking up from there?
Yeah, very right. The both investor fraternity are different, and therefore, again, I'm saying we are in a confused state today.
So actually, I just, sorry to interrupt. I was discussing with my brother in same way where, you're okay for, when you invest, you're okay for them to burn money, but you can't burn money with your own hands. That's the only difference. Sorry to say that. So it's, to me, it's like, so if I would come to you, sir, invest karo, 5 saal burn karunga paisa, le check, beta, kar maja.
You are betting on other entrepreneurs, basically.
Sorry, so it's like, sorry?
You are betting on someone else as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, but you can bet your own on your own selves, right? I'm just kind of trying to...
But that fire is different. Hopefully, I mean.
I mean, I have a, I mean, very honestly, when I sold my company, I really betted on myself once again.
No, that was.
I did invest into startups, but I said the best thing is to bet on your own self.
It's a
And let it
remarkably
burn money, no
different-
problem.
Remarkably different mindset. I'm just mindful of time. If there are any specific questions that you'll want to ask the official KCF number, you can just text it on that and we can take that up. Parag, seeing this, new age, old age, you are a, so to say, at least it looks like that, you make pipes and there's a huge market out there. And it seems that there is no disruption really, and you've been disrupting the market in your own way, because it becomes a brand-driven market. So you managed to do this whole brand perception change, etc. So how has that experience been, and where do you see things today, and what are the steps that you are looking at in the future? Because you brought in Akshay Kumar, budgeted all of that. I'm just getting mindful of the fact that everybody here is talking about money in a very big way, that you have to be willing to burn. I mean, you probably you invested or burned in getting Akshay Kumar and you got some of the return after that. So any learnings from there, anything that you had to convince internally in getting budgets allocated? And
So I think disruptions are part of this journey, whether it is certain things are disruptions to the industry and certain disruptions are very specific to your organization. I think the question will come as to, whenever there is a disruption, what is it for us? I think we look for the opportunity. I think that's the key word for us, that we look for the opportunity in any kind of disruption that comes in. And there were several such examples, but we've tried to, explore the best from the various opportunities that we look into.
excellent. I think we're coming to the tail end, but Sunil Uncle, thanks so much for saying that there can be a confused state and it's okay to be there, right? And straddle both sides, and that's really where life change management can happen. What does the future look like? I mean, for all of you all, future challenges that you're seeing internally and externally, and what are the key, any message that you want to leave for the audience in the way they should be evaluating their business?
So first message as a leader, all of you as a leader, we talked a lot about right teams, right strategies, but as a leader, the first quality that we should have is balancing between involvement and delegation. That is so important. જો તમે એવી રીતે બેલેન્સ નહીં કરો ને બધે ઠેકાણે ઇન્વોલ્વ થયા જ કરશો, then problem. So that is the first thing, my humble request to all of you, કે આ બેલેન્સિંગ કરવાની આવડત થવી જોઈએ. Be a good listener, as Kiritbhai said. Always be a good listener and do not hesitate to ask anything to anyone. With respect to your second question was to
Change.
Sorry.
What do you foresee in your industry with the changes coming in?
Industry-wise, I believe tremendous opportunities, and bringing technology into the business is so relevant now that is the core heart of our business that will get affected if we don't look up to. And another thing that I am facing, rather we are thinking and very seriously investing money, including all of you, તમને બધાને જ કહેવા મને ઈચ્છા થાય છે કે all businesses should have data orientation. ડેટા ઓરિએન્ટેશન દરેક ધંધામાં નાનામાં નાની એક્ટિવિટીથી જે બી એક્ટિવિટી થતી હોય એમાં જો કરશો, then decision making based on that data will be so effective, તો જ ગ્રો કરવાનો સારો મોકો મળશે. So and we are going through that, and I was talking to my seniors that what do we do? They said appoint data scientist. Data scientists are very few people in the country today. But somehow we have we will be paying a bomb, but we got one. So to that extent, we are readying ourselves.
So artificial intelligence, algorithms and all that experts, that field is emerging. It will take some time to, get that kind of. Sure.
So I think, Rohan, if you're saying what is the kind of message that you want to give to, our corporate community, a couple of things. First is that I think every organization goes to 3 phases, according to me. The first phase is, to learn and earn. Whether it is your, employee or whether it's for the employer, everybody passes through that first phase of, to learn and earn. And the second phase which comes is to command and control. And after you have reached to a particular level, you have to stop commanding, you have to stop controlling. Trust me, it is very, very difficult for an Indian businessman. It's very easy to say, it's very easy to give the suggestions. I'm myself going through this phase, and I think my success rate so far is about 30 to 40%, that I'm moving from, the command and control to ask and inspire. The role for us that we have reached has to move from command and control to ask. Be it your employee, be it your customer, be it your banker, be it your vendor, it has to be ask and inspire. So that's my one tip. The second one, I think most important for me, what I understand is, to have, you need to create a professional team. You have to realize that we are not the best at everything. One cannot be. You could be great at one thing, you cannot be great at everything. So you need to create a good set of people. You need to recruit professionals. I think our organization in the last at least 5 to 7 years, we've started recruiting, people from HUL, Asian Paints, Pidilite. The reason that I'm saying this, of course, because the names that I'm saying this because we are from the building material industry. So our piping business does fall into the building material. And I think there is a lot of talent with such kind of people. So please recruit the best. Have the right people on board. If you have a wrong person, you are asking for trouble. It's very, very difficult, of course, once you realize that the wrong person has come in, to how to give an exit. I think there are various ways. I think company for us, we take our KRA assessments very, very seriously and we do it very diligently. Trust me guys, earlier I used to think that this is more bookish. ये ज़्यादा theory वाला है, but no. I think KRAs really work. And I will also confess that I would also like to add that within the Chheda family, for my father, for my wife, who's overseeing the finance function, my brother and now for my son, as well as for me, we have our internal assessment also, and we sit once in a year to realize this is what was expected in a year's time and how are we progressing. And it is okay to, get a 4 out of 10, but as long as you are ready to accept that yes, I have been unfair to the business for some period of time, and what is the major correction that you want to bring in. So those are the couple key takeaways that I would like to.
Amazing, thanks.
Yeah, for me, the key takeaway should be one should be willing to unlearn. To learn anything new, you got to unlearn what you've learned so that you can leave your baggages out. So I think unlearning is a very, very critical thing. And very interesting thing which he said, which is very interesting book which I've read, was No Rules Rules, which talks about freedom is equal to responsibility, responsibility is equal to freedom. This is what you need to expect to be given to your employees. Give them freedom, if you make them responsible to do them a job, you must give them a freedom. If you give them a freedom, give responsibility to them. Both have to go hand in hand. These are two key takeaways as far as I'm concerned. Willing to unlearn. That's a very, very key thing.
What was the question?
How are you seeing challenge in the future, and what are your key messages?
Yeah, I think our business is different, and one thing I have realized is now that we are running actually 3 businesses in chemical itself. Like, one is a manufacturing business, and the way we want to grow, we have added a project business, which internally we have around 600 people who are just there to put projects. And then we have a development business which develops technologies, which is R&D and technology. So the whole flow goes from developing technologies, putting the projects, and running the plants, which finally gives you money. So that clarity for me is that these 3 businesses in one organizations are different, requires different capability, different mindsets, and need to run differently. Like, project mindset is getting accuracy, getting right designs, making sure project finish on time, quality of projects. That's very different from manufacturing. Manufacturing is do day in and day out, do the same thing repeatedly, consistently. Whereas development, technology is innovation. So what sort of, right now how I am seeing is that we require different things for different businesses. Some things are common, but say HR processes may be different. Incentive structure has to be different. Goals have to be different. Inspiration for them will be different. Culture for the organizations will be different in all the 3. And then how do you sort of make sure that all the 3 are working together for overall the business to flourish? So that's one aspect where we are dealing with, is to run 3 things at the same time within one organization.
अशोक भाई, आपके लिए एक क्वेश्चन कि ये कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, लेकिन स्पेसिफिकली फॉर लॉट ऑफ पीपल जिनका छोटा बिजनेस है, तो यहाँ पे यू हैव एक्सपीरियंस विद अ लॉट ऑफ बिजनेसेस एट जीतो ऑल्सो, कि प्रोफेशनलाइज करना है, उसके लिए जो पैसा लगता है, हाउ कैन अ स्मॉलर बिजनेस डू दैट? एनीथिंग दैट यू हैव सीन फ्रॉम योर एक्सपीरियंस?
नहीं, एक बात है कि जब भी छोटा आदमी है अपना बिजनेस स्टार्ट करता है, तो स्टेबिलिटी इज़ द पहला पड़ाव होता है। हमने क्या किया, 1977 टू 87 10 इयर्स स्टेबल किया, जो विज़न था उसको स्टेबल किया। रामायण मॉडल 4 फ्रंट पे लेके लड़ना, और उसके बाद 1 महीने का ब्रेक ले लिया, यूरोप चले गए। पिताजी को जब भी बताया कि मैं यूरोप जाना चाहता हूँ, पिताजी ने क्या बोला मुझे, पहले एक काम कर, 3 दिन के लिए महाबलेश्वर तेरी वाइफ को लेके जा, फिर यूरोप जाने के मैं मान सकता हूँ। इतना मैं इन्वॉल्वमेंट था, लेकिन 1 महीना छोड़ के गया, और आने के बाद जिनको ये काम सौंपा था मेरा, उनको सबको बोला आपने मेरे से बेहतर काम किया है।
वाह।
आप जो मैं संभालता था उससे बहुत ही बेहतर है, तो आपको ही संभालना है। और वहाँ से डेवलपमेंट के बारे में सोचने लगा। सबसे पहले किया कि डिफरेंस 9 कंपनीज थी, उसका एमालगमेशन किया, एक कंपनी बनाई। बॉम्बे गुजरात था, उसको बॉम्बे महाराष्ट्र किया, और लेटर स्टेज में बॉम्बे ऑल ओवर इंडिया किया। डिजिटलाइजेशन किया कंपनी को, कंपनी के डिजिटलाइजेशन के हिसाब से ग्रोथ भी मिला। और सबसे बड़ी बात कि जो आदमी हमारे अंडर में काम करते थे, जिसको जिम्मेदारी दी है, उनको एक ही बात, ये यहाँ तक पहुँचना है, हमें कैसे करना, इट्स योर लुकआउट। जहाँ मेरी हेल्प की ज़रूरत है, मैं आपके साथ हूँ। और इसकी बदौलत ये ग्रोथ हुआ है। हमको आप मानेंगे नहीं, 50 साल लगे 1 करोड़ तक पहुँचने को। सर्विस इंडस्ट्री में 1 करोड़ बड़ी बात है।
करेक्ट।
और 1 करोड़ से 1000 करोड़, 100 करोड़ तक 50 साल लगे, और 100 करोड़ से 1500 पहुंचने में सिर्फ 10 साल।
एक्सीलेंट।
ये 10x ग्रोथ इसको ही बोलते हैं।
एक्सीलेंट।
तो पहले स्टेबिलिटी में रामायण मॉडल चलेगा, और बाद में महाभारत के मॉडल में जितना जल्दी आएंगे उतना आप सक्सेस ज़्यादा हो जाएगा।
Excellent. Kiran bhai, we are out of time. There are some questions. Should we? I think there's one question that I find relevant, if that's okay, because it's come from the fact that this is a heavily male-dominated stage, and there's a question from somebody who's a lady, and I think it's a very relevant question. I think we've lost talent of half our country in the fact that, we've kept our women at home. And now is the time that they're coming out, and I think we need to support that. So the question is, how do we see this? And I think, Sunil Uncle, I want to ask you that question because you have been exceptional, I think, at that, especially with what I've seen, getting a daughter-in-law also involved in some of the closest aspects of the business. So your thoughts and even for a female founder of a new startup, etc., how do you see that? And how will we change the composition of this stage going forward?
So as a new rule in EdTech, Kiritbhai, we have decided that composition of male-female also has to be balanced. To the extent, I wouldn't say 50-50, but 25 to 30% of the staff has to be female. So, yes, in our company also, be it our daughters or daughter-in-laws, if they have really done excel in their career, education career, then we give them all opportunities to do whatever that they want to do, either to contribute in the present business, or if they want to do new activity, we do encourage them.
How can we as a community really get that? Because I think the women folk in our community are feeling that they seem to get left out in the conversations about business and conversations about succession and when the next generation comes in. So any sort of thoughts on that?
So I believe now all of us here are quite mature enough. There cannot be any difference between male and female as far as they are proving themselves. So we should give all the possibilities, opportunities to the incoming member, be it daughter or daughter-in-law, and give them full opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Equal opportunities to be given to male and female. And fortunately, in our corporate office, we are having 50% male and 50% female.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the panelists. May I have Mr. Karan?
I think it's been an excellent evening today, and I think I must give a big round of applause to the entire panel. I think really candid views, and I think a lot of experiences have been shared, and I'm sure you go back with some solid learning today and something that you can implement going forward. I think just wanted to thank Rohan for the excellent panel moderation. And thanks to our vendors as well. We have the parking valet and the catering services, and thanks for that. And thanks Kiritbhai for an excellent presentation on the VUCA and the change management. So thanks everyone. Thank you. Thank you. And sorry, just one more person to thank, Vivek. I think one of the backbone for KCF. So thanks, Vivek, and thanks Boomerang Ventures. And so, like I said, if anybody has any inquiries for the 10X Summit, you can approach the desk. We have set up a counter if you have any inquiries. And please join us for dinner. Thank you.